Okay, ready? Okay, so one exercise that I want to show you is the reverse hyperextension for your glutes. And I think that most people, when they are doing this, are not getting everything they can out of the exercise, meaning they're leaving a lot on the table. And the reason for that is just show me how you would normally do it or how most people would normally do it. So Jen's going to show us how to do a reverse hyperextension, right? So as we come up, just bring your legs up, right? And then bring your legs down. We're just working in one line of resistance. So there's one line of force, and that's the direction the legs are going into, right? And then obviously gravity is providing an additional resistance. So bring your leg up. Now the problem with this is that's like doing a bicep curl but stopping mid-range. And the reason I say that is because the direction of the muscle fibers of the glute are not straight in this direction here, in line with the legs. So because they're not in line with the legs, just coming up straight is not enough to contract the glutes fully. In order for you to contract the glute fully, you actually need to come outward. So bring the legs wider, because the direction of the muscle fibers of the glute go like this, right? So they span out or fan out. So we need to follow the direction of the fibers in order to get the greatest amount of contraction or shortening of the muscle. Now, to take it a step further, what I would do is I'd bring the legs down, down. I'd internally rotate your legs, right? And the reason why we're internally rotating the legs, because as she internally rotates the legs, the glute muscle stretches out around, so it lengthens around. So we want to lengthen the muscle fully. That's like doing a bicep curl, fully lengthening at the bottom, straightening at the bottom, and then as she comes up, what I want Jen to do is externally rotate the thigh. Turn outward, 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 outward as hard as you can, as hard as you can. Good. So come down, internally rotate so she could stretch out the muscle of the glute. And then as she comes up, she brings the legs out, but she also externally rotates as hard as she can so that she can fully contract the muscles right into the insertion from the origin of the muscle fiber. Okay, go again. Contract as hard as you possibly can. Good, nice. Internally rotate as you come down, so your toes are pointing toward each other like duck feet, or the opposite of duck feet at the bottom. And then as you come out, you have duck feet at the top. So pigeon-toed at the bottom, and then duck feet at the top. That's essentially what you're aiming for when you're going through the excursion of the movement. Go again, and contract as hard as you can. So don't just come up, go out and externally rotate your thigh. So something important to note is that just because your foot is turned outward, bring it up, or your feet are turned outward, it doesn't mean that you've actually externally rotated the thigh, right? So I don't really care about where the foot is, I care about where the thigh is, because the thigh is controlled by the glute muscle. So right now, internally rotate this thigh, so it's turned inward. Now turn the foot outward simultaneously. So she could still crank that foot outward even though her glute is not fully shortened because it's internally rotated at the thigh. So don't be confused or buy into the perception that where your foot is going to determine what's happening at the hip. It's actually the opposite of that. So externally rotate the thigh, and as a result of that, the foot is going to go outward. So just make sure that you're creating the proper intent at the glute and at the hip and not at the foot. So that's how you optimally train your glute muscles. And thank you for helping us, Jen.